The tagline that I would give my mental health journey is another one bites the dust. And I say that with humor because honestly, I've had a lot of challenges that I've had to overcome. Every single time that I thought that I had sort of nipped the thing that was causing the trouble, it felt like another thing popped up. And so, yeah, another one bites the dust. I mean, at this point now, I'm completely sober and really put my well-being and myself first, and that is not something that I can say that I did throughout my life. And I usually used everything from, alcohol and other substances to work and just being busy as ways to escape what I was feeling. And so at this point now, my most important work is to feel my feelings and to process them and to use the tools of mindfulness and journaling and therapy to really be able to be my true, full, authentic self and to not feel the need to numb from the everyday realities of life. And life is designed to have ups and downs, and that's okay. We're not supposed to feel perfect all of the time. I think that I was sort of trained in my mind that any negative feeling was something that I needed to get rid of immediately rather than actually, leaning into it. So that would be my answer to that one. How does my entrepreneurship influence my mental health journey? I think the biggest thing for entrepreneurs is, there's a lot of pressure. It's stressful, especially I think financially. The pressure of, holding a business together, the pressure of ensuring that a sales pipeline, is adequate, riding the waves of things that are out of our control, like pandemics or recessions. These things can really feel intense. And they are the realities of business. I'm not going to pretend that they're not a part of it, but there are tools and resources that we can use to manage the realities of entrepreneurship and sometimes the loneliness of entrepreneurship. Unless you're in a partnered organization where you have a co-founder, if you're someone who's founded and started your own business, that saying it can be lonely at the top, I think, is really true because nobody can understand the pressure that you feel except for you. And so I think one of the most important things that we can do is find supportive communities. So speaking to other entrepreneurs, being able to use certain modalities and resources to manage the inevitable waves and not trying to numb them or escape from them or allow the negative self-talk to get in your head to convince you that you don't deserve to run your business or that you're not good enough. I mean, I faced all of these things. So for me, staying well and staying sober while also being an entrepreneur means that I have to really understand that when I'm having those low moments, and trust me, you have them. When I have those low moments, I have to reach out. I have to speak to somebody. I've got to go move my body, get outside, get in nature. Honestly, just today I had to do it. I was stressing out about something business related, and I went outside and I just went on a walk where I had to feel all of my anxiety and I just allowed myself to feel it. But what's really special about it is once you actually allow yourself to feel it rather than pushing it away, it moves, it passes, and you can start to be grounded and come up with the solutions that you need to take in order to address whatever challenge it is that you're facing. So for me, the turning point for me in really reaching and seeking out help was, it's kind of dramatic, but I found myself caught in a really bad storm in the middle of the Arctic Ocean in Nunavut. We were running a program for young people, and there was such a level of guilt that I felt for allowing the people that were with me, including the young people, to find themselves in this scenario of this storm. And of course, a storm is not something that I could manage. That's Mother Nature. We can't control that. But what it really sort of told me was that I was continuing to make impulsive decisions without really thinking about the long-term consequences of them. And it also kind of showed me how little control I really was in. And something just kind of snapped finally for me. I realized that I needed to stop running from myself. It's like you push yourself so far to the point of trying not to feel the things that you don't want to feel, and eventually one day you slam into the wall. And that was my version of slamming into the wall. And it was that day that I was like, I have got to face myself. I have got to really get sober. Was, at that point it was like remove alcohol from my life. So yeah, that was what it was like. The first place that I went to seek treatment, well, honestly, the first place was inside of myself. It was a decision I had to make personally. It wasn't coming from outside of me. It wasn't somebody telling me I needed to do this. It was me, myself, realizing that I needed to stop. And so I did two things. One, I downloaded a meditation app on my phone. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I was like so used to ignoring myself and ignoring my own voice that this was a practice that I knew I had to start to incorporate. And then the other piece was therapy. I had sort of dabbled in therapy over the years a little bit, but wasn't really serious about it. And so seriously committing to therapy to start was really important. I didn't find my tribe, so to speak, through like 12-step programs until I discovered Al-Anon. Al-Anon is for families and children of alcoholics, and this felt like a safer space for me to explore my drinking, which I really, really felt stemmed from my childhood and the way I witnessed people in my family deal with their emotions and their stress, and I sort of like took that on myself. So I don't know, this was just what worked for me. So getting support in the beginning, I don't want to say that it was scary, because living the way I was living was what was scary for me. I was physically starting to get sick during my final months of, just pushing everything away. I had really, really bad stomach issues, and I was told by multiple doctors that I needed to change my lifestyle, and I kept kind of pushing through and ignoring. So I was terrified of myself at that point, and getting help felt like a relief. It didn't feel scary to me in that moment, because what was scary was myself. I was scared of myself and what I was doing. In the early days, for me, it was actually really hard to find people to talk to. I had surrounded myself with lots of people that drank a lot, and it was really normalized. It was normalized in my friend group. It was normalized in my relationship. And so it felt very isolating to stop. In the beginning, I kind of hid behind my health issues, because like I mentioned, I was having some stomach issues. So I was like, oh, I just have to quit drinking right now to kind of solve that. But I knew that I needed to quit drinking for good. I just wasn't ready to admit that to everyone around me. So it took time. And I think, again, working with therapists or non-biased third-party people was my best form of support. I ended up having to kind of exit a lot of relationships and friendships in order to maintain my sobriety in the early days. So that was definitely a challenge. My advice for entrepreneurs that are dealing with challenges, I think the first advice is for you to realize that there's nothing wrong with you, that this is really normal. And I think we're starting to recognize that at a larger collective level. A lot of us are really struggling and have been struggling, generations of people struggling, because we haven't been taught how to process our emotions properly, how to deal with the trauma that is, this world and this life. It's challenging, but there are things that we can do in order to find wellness and to get grounded and to feel that we can manage not only our businesses, but our families and our lives. And so my first advice to you is don't blame yourself, and realize and accept that by you taking on the challenge of, changing your life and finding your own true wellness and well-being, you're actually changing the world. You're changing the economy. You're changing things for future generations, not only in your own family, but for so many people, because you can be that example of what is possible. And I don't mean that in a way where it's like we're perfect because we sought help. Not at all. Like, I struggle every day is a struggle to sort of find my balance. But what I realize is that that's normal, and there's nothing wrong with that. So you're okay, and you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And so my advice to you is just stop with the blame and start to realize that we are a product of a society that's kind of broken, and so we need to start to mend the pieces.